Looking for clarity and confidence when it comes to decision making for your business? You've come to the right place. You're now listening to the Atomic Business Coaching Podcast.
I'm so happy that we are doing a regular podcast again, man. It's fun. Like, I had fun last week when we recorded it. You?
Yeah, I did. It was nice to have a more relaxed environment and no pressure to teach anything or to say anything amazingly intelligent or inspiring. Yeah. It really is just, it's really nice to get back into this.
What did you think about that networking meeting we had last night?
You know, it was an interesting experience. You know, there was such a variety of people. And, you know, the one gentleman who is trying to sell a new book, and he couldn't niche down to this audience that he wants to be able to do public speaking. You know, and the thing that it brought up for me is that he's lacking the intention for why he even wrote his book, right? Like, I asked the question, he was talking about this new book that he wrote on communication, and it sounds really great. I'm not going to, I haven't read it. I don't know the full context because he really couldn't disclose too much just yet. But when I asked him, what is one thing that you want people to take away from reading your book? If they could only take one thing away, what would that be? He couldn't even tell me that. No. And that made me sad in some ways, because he probably has this beautiful work of art that has no intention. And if you don't put an intention out there for things, you get caught up in this whirlwind of just pure chaos, and you wonder why something's not going so well. And things just seem like, what did I do all that for? And that's why intention to me is just so important to set. Like, when I wrote my first book, the intention is to make change appear simple and make people see that it is very simple to make change, because so many people fear it and so many people get nervous. And it only starts with one little thing and everything else changes from there. Yeah. And what people don't realize is, what I wanted people to take away from that book was change is simple.
It's funny because, we've written 2 books together, and we've each written a book separately. And I know the most recent book that we wrote, it started with an intention, right? It started with like, here's what we want to deliver, and here's the outcome we want people to have. And then we crafted what the chapters would look like and what we were talking about. And, I felt bad for him too. He seemed like he wanted to be so confident in the moment and like represent himself, but by not being clear, he seemed unsure, and you could see the rest of the room. It was a very good, you were able to be vulnerable in that environment, but you could see the rest of the room, like, not like they felt bad for him, but they wanted to help him, but they didn't know how to, and neither did you and I. But, he's a young man too. And I think, you and I are working with a lot of younger people now in our group coaching. And I see a lot of that where it's kind of like this, there's a lack of understanding what they want to do. And when I say young, I mean, they're teenagers or in their 20s. Yeah. I'm talking about 30, even young 40-year-old people, but mainly people in their 30s. It's like, it seems all these quote unquote business owners, right? They basically, a lot of them have created jobs for themselves. All right. So, but they haven't really developed what's their purpose, and like, what are they here for? What are they doing? And it's scary almost. It is really scary.
It is scary. I call it the side effect of the era of the participation trophy. Okay. Right? Like, not like let's be real. Okay. Yeah. There's our generation. I mean, I just turned 47. You're 45. We didn't get participation trophies. We won something. We got a trophy. And you had to win first or second or third place. You did not get a trophy for 4th place or 5th place. You got something, or for just participation. And what I mean by that is that people think just because they did something, it's going to be recognized and acknowledged, right? So like, here's a guy who wrote a whole book. It probably is great. Like I said, we haven't read it, but he couldn't tell us what was the intention, what was the purpose. He could tell us what the book was about, but he couldn't say who it was meant to reach, who it was meant to help, who it was meant to support. And it's just like, well, if it's there, somebody will acknowledge it and see it, and they'll see the worth that it provides. And that's the whole generation though. Like, when we see young business owners too, like, we work with people from 25 to, I don't know, 40, 50, let's call it, right?
Working with us now too.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, they want immediate results. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to put the sweat equity in. They think just because they did one thing, they're going to get the result instantaneously. And that's the side effect of the on-demand culture that we live in now. I mean, thanks Jeff Bezos for the on-demand, but he wasn't the first one, but he is the one that has, exponentially made it grown, and people just expect instant results, instant satisfaction. And that's what it's about.
But think about it, it's hard, right? So, you're inundated with social media where you see so many people making it, right? And it's like, you really do. Because the reason you see them making it is when they do make it, you see more of them, right? The people who aren't making it, you don't really see them. And there's more of them that you can relate to. So it's like, oh my gosh, that's my friend who I knew when I was growing up, or that's the guy that I followed for the last year and I saw him explode. And whatever it is, regardless of how close you are and if you actually know these people, there's more of them that are right there, and you're watching their journey of like a year's time. All of a sudden they've made it and they're really good at it. So I think there's almost this, how would you put it? It's not fake it till you make it, but you think you're really smart. You're like, I'm really smart and I really know my stuff and I'm really good at what I do. So I have to be at that level now. And what most people don't understand is so is everybody else. They've put the work and they got the education. Tom and I talk about different generations, but the younger generation is smarter than us because they have more access to information. They had more time to implement that. Like everything's at your fingertips, and they somehow can absorb, process, and utilize information a lot quicker too. But so are all your peers, right? So what's really the differentiator is when people are hustling. And I don't mean hustling like grinding out and doing this. I mean that they're working every single day. As you said before, they're putting that sweat equity in. It's that they understand that talent can only take you so far. Right. Talent's great and skills and expertise are great, but you still need to have that grit. You still have to put in the effort over and over and over again. And if you're randomly putting in this effort all over the place, I've done that. You put it in and you're like, I'm putting it here and there and then there and then. It's like, you don't really move forward. You kind of move outward in a radius, but you don't move forward in a line really fast. And people understanding like, wow, look at that spike. I understand what they are and what they do and how they do it. And that was a tough thing. I love networking, and the rest of the meeting was pretty great.
Yeah, the rest of the meeting was awesome. It was great to hear what some people are doing. One of the things that came up for me was we had a couple there that owns escape rooms and act throwing places, and they're struggling with revenue, getting enough business into those businesses. And they've had one of them for about 10 years and the other one for about 7 years. And what made me realize and made me think about is some of these fad type of businesses that come about.
Oh my God, Tom, I didn't want to say it in the room,
I didn't want to say that either. And I was like, you have to acknowledge. And the thing is that they're not really working in the business anymore. According to them, it's completely running on its own. It's doing its own thing, and it's generating the revenue, and it works for the way they want to operate it for now. But I'm like, when you get to a fad business, escape rooms were a huge fad 10 years ago. Axe throwing was a huge fad 6 years ago, right? Those things and those are hard businesses to sustain, right? And one of the things that we have to help business owners to be able to do is sustain the test of time. And fads are a big issue, but it's the same thing like on social media. Something is popular today. A year from now, it's going to be like, oh yeah, that was so long ago, right? But it impacts how we think about ourselves. It impacts how we think about our businesses. It impacts everything, because when you have something that's a fad, you kind of go, oh no, like, did I get into the wrong business? And it just, again, it's the intention that we set when we go into those businesses, right? Like, do we ride the wave or not?
We ride the wave right now. I told someone recently who's in content creation business, I'm like, you understand, like, you will not have a business in 5 years, right? And they're like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And I'm like, this business will not be around, right? You're going to have to evolve what this business is in order to keep these clients. And unfortunately, you're going to have to provide things in the space, but move with it. right? You can't, this is not taxes where it's like, you're always going to do taxes. They're always going to be number crunching. The laws might change, but you're always going to have to do taxes. What they were doing video content specifically. I'm like, yeah, you'll probably always do video content, but it might be different formats. It might be different styles. It might be, so you have to be good at the skill, not the medium or not the vehicle that it's being delivered in. And that's where you need to be able to be pliable. So become an expert at the skill. And these people with the axe throwing and escape room, the skill with that is experiences, right? And you even mentioned to him is like, can you take the one business that you thought maybe it isn't, or they maybe said wasn't that high revenue? I think it was the axe throwing. They said, yeah. And can we just make 2 escape rooms? And they were like, no, we can't do that. But they didn't take a moment to be like, well, wait a minute, what do we really do? And at the end of the day, those business owners who they're very successful. Yeah. 100%. And they've made a lot of money doing it, and they have multiple businesses. And this one, they spent a few years in it, and then it was able to run like a business should without them being in it all day. But they became really good at providing an experience. It wasn't the escape room, and it wasn't the axe throwing. It was that there was a place that people wanted to go to, have an experience of doing something with other people, whether that was escape and scared or figuring out challenges or axes and competition. But it was like, hey, there's a group of us that want to go and do something. And if they realized they're in the experience business, well, then they would never go out of business, right? But if you're in the axe throwing business, that's only going to last so long. Right. You know, if you're in the pickleball business right now, you're probably not going to last forever. Right. You know, like it's hot right now.
I mean, cornhole was the big thing a year and a half ago. Now everything is pickleball, right?
Yeah, everything is pickleball. Cornhole leagues came out and cornhole boards. Yep. And it's awesome. But what is that? It's like a low barrier of entry competition sport. Pickleball, the spike ball that you could do, and there was monkey ball that people were doing in their backyards, and all these other little sports that it's a low barrier of entry. And what I'm saying like that is you don't have to be an athlete, okay? Right. And you don't need to spend a lot of money, but you can get involved with the sport. That will last forever, okay? The sports will change. Right. Okay? And if you're going to run leagues, then you become an expert in running leagues and giving people these competition formats, and just the sport changes within it. Yeah. You know, like I've said before, of 24 years, I'm in advising. Every job I've had, every business I've built, I've all been with advising, right? That's all I really do is I advise people. I give them the confidence and the clarity so they can make better decisions. That's all I do. I do it for different people, or I do it for different businesses, or I do it for different reasons, but it's just advice at the end of the day, right? Right. So I think you're probably listening to this because you're a business owner, right? You got to understand the business that you're in, right? If you don't know the business that you're in, and I don't mean the product that you sell, the business that you're in, if you don't know the business that you're in, you'll be out of business relatively shortly. Yeah. What were you going to say, Tom?
Well, I think, one of the things that we talk about all the time is figuring out your purpose and then aligning all your actions to that purpose, right? So that you can carry out successfully. That's what we all have to think about as business owners, is what is the purpose that we are serving? Because there are a variety of ways to serve that purpose, right? Like when I think of my own career and my own life, I became a physician assistant because my goal was to help people live better lives. I did that as a physician assistant. I went into administration in healthcare and spent 15 years there. And what did I do to help people live better lives? I orchestrated the services and the products that people could receive from healthcare providers on a larger scale so I could help more people. Then I became a life coach, and it was to help people live better lives, right? And as business coaches, our goal is to help people live better lives, to achieve the freedom, success that they want. But we know what our purpose is, and we know, and you've always been an advisor. You know how to make people's businesses better. You know, make people's lives better. That is the purpose that we serve. And when you are malleable and you can change how you're living your purpose, you're going to have much more longevity. Like you just said before, they're in the experience business. There are 92 million ways to give people an experience of something and make money off of it. But they're so stuck in the escape room and the axe throwing, because part of it is, I don't know if they want to do any more work in the experience business. I don't know if they want to innovate, or they want to change something, or put the time and effort in, or maybe they're out of ideas, which is fine, which, they would be good clients for our Find New Direction. But, like what is the next?
Hey, if you're listening, we're going to give you a call now. Good job, Tom. That was a good spot. No, but that program would be perfect for him.
Yeah, because who do you want to be? How do you want to live your purpose now? That's the thing. And as business owners, we have this beautiful luxury that we have the ability to set up any business anytime again and do it all over again. It's just how you decide to live your purpose out and what you deliver and what you do.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, listen, that was our first networking meeting we've done at night, because we do. So anyone who's listening, we do 3 in-person networking meetings per month that Tom and I host. They're really a lot of fun. Tom and I love them. We met each other through my networking group, Long Island Networkers. But yeah, this was the first one that we did at night, and it ran late. I mean, it not late, it didn't go over, but it was scheduled to run late. I didn't get home till 10 o'clock. Yes, if you're listening, for me, that's late.
Yeah.
But I didn't get home till 10 o'clock at night. It was 3 hours long, this event. But the cool thing is everybody was there, and we had a wide range of businesses, a wide range of ages, and everybody was on point and really engaged. And I think that's the coolest part about these. We do, if you don't know this, we do these small, intimate networking. We don't sell tickets to them. It's by invite only. We ask people that we know to bring a guest of someone that they know. And they're very intimate. So it's 10 people or less every single time. We do food and nice. We sit on couches, not like classroom style. We don't do that. We sit on couches and chairs. And it's really a nice way to do it. And one of the cool things is we got to see Stephanie, who we haven't seen her in like 3 years. And it's funny that we're talking. We did a course earlier today, Tom and I, about staying in your lane pretty much and don't having an overwhelming offer and keep doing what you're an expert at. And this woman, Stephanie, she kept chugging along, and she does Kundalini yoga, which many people don't know about. Sorry if I butchered the way that said.
Yeah, she's a Kundalini yogini.
Kundalini yoga, but it's more about breath work and deep meditation, and I am not an expert. So, Steph, if you're listening, sorry, I'm butchering it. You do a better job. But the cool thing is she stayed in her same lane, and she amplified what she's doing, and now she's working more with like how do you connect this type of meditation to your brain, and how do you help with Alzheimer's and dementia and even addiction. And it was really wonderful because you could see the passion in her, and you could see the excitement, and you could see the confidence.
Yeah.
Right. It was like she really was very sure of like, I'm the shit.
Yeah.
Like I know what I'm doing.
She has spent several years developing that skill and being, she's known as a Long Island Kundalini yogini. That's her thing. And, she was practicing it, and she was getting benefits from it, and for her own health, and so other people's health improve, both mental and physical health. And I think what I realized last night is she found her purpose for why she studied this, right? And sometimes when we go into some things, as we evolve in that practice, or we evolve in what we're doing, we start to recognize what the real intention of it is. Right. And now that she's found this for brain longevity, and it's impactful for people with Alzheimer's and other dementias, and I'm so excited for her, just to see her excitement, but I'm so excited to see what comes from it. Like now it's fun. We could kind of sit back and watch and see what she does with this, because she's so passionate, because I think she's really found the core of her purpose for doing all of this in the time.
But she wouldn't have found it if she didn't stick to it. And that's a lot of what we try to help people with, is you have to have this stick-to-itiveness. You have to have this grit, and this, what we call in our book, in one of the last chapters of our book, aggressive patience. Right? You have to aggressively work towards things, but patient that it will come. And it's nice that you said she found her purpose. She wasn't looking for it, right? That's the cool thing, is most people who find their purpose and truly find their purpose, they're not out there looking for it. It's just they keep doing something, and they actually create their purpose. And I think that's what Stephanie did, is, she did this for herself and she wanted to heal herself. And she didn't even want to heal herself. She just enjoyed the practice and ended up healing herself and then ended up loving it so much she wanted to help other people. And it's just by her doing this over and over again, it became her purpose.
Right.
She didn't find, it wasn't magically one day, oh, there's my purpose, I'm going to go do that. It was through doing that she was like, this is my purpose. Tom and I have had realizations about this where we're like, wow, we're doing these things. This is our purpose. I mean, you can go to our website and see what our purpose is. And our purpose is really helping other people find their purpose and then aligning their actions to it. I mean, that's really, we didn't come up with that. It just arrived by us doing what we do over and over and over again. And I think that's some of the most successful businesses. That's how they end up being successful, is they have that grit and they have the ability to keep going when it's bad times, when it's good times. And they're like, there's a reason I'm doing this. And I was going to say this last night. There was someone in the room that was like, oh, I'm not very educated, not very, I don't have all this experience. But they were really good at something. And he had a moving and junk removal company. And I was going to say, I didn't want to offend them because I didn't mean this about him. So I didn't say it in the room. Right. But what I wanted to say is some of the most successful people I know are the least intelligent people I know. And what I mean by that is they don't have a wide range of intelligence. It's very narrow. They're kind of laymen in most things. There's one thing that, man, if you talk to them, you're like, what? You're a wizard at this stuff. But then you talk to them about the kind of normal stuff and like, nah, I'm not really sure about that. I don't really know about that. And it's not that they're dumb, right? It's that they're not really getting informed consistently about these other things because they're so laser focused. Right. I think the more you hone in, and I don't want you to be boring, that's not what I'm saying, but the more you hone in on like, here's what I'm doing, I'm going to just be in this lane. Yeah, you're going to lose, experience and expertise on other stuff. You might not know what's going on in the news. You might not even know, who's running for president but you don't really care. Like you're doing this thing and then you go home to your family and you love them. Right. And I think that's what I'm seeing this trend with a lot of the people that are having the success right now is they really got in their groove and they keep in it and they keep going through it regardless of what's going outside. And there's no expectations, right? It's not like I expect if I do this, I get that. It's no. I'm doing this thing because for some reason I really like it. Yeah. Right. I'm doing this thing because for some reason I get better at it. And it's just as they continually do it, you see them become masters.
Well, I think there's two good points that you brought up in here. And one of them is the reflection piece, right? Constantly going back and looking at what you're doing and why you're doing it. And I'll give you props, Adam. You all the time are looking back and making sure that we are remaining intentional. It's kind of funny. I talk about intention, but you always tend to make sure in our business we're remaining intentional with everything that we're doing. And why are we doing this? If it doesn't make sense, we stop doing it and we innovate and figure out what the real intention is. So reflection is a really key part of that. And I think that's one of the character traits that I picked up in this one gentleman that you're talking about is he may be so honed in. Like you said, I didn't go to college. I'm a high school guy, but I don't think I'm the smartest, but I'm a hard worker. But he has remained so curious, right? So it's the reflection and the curiosity that I think has really brought him to this other level. I mean, the guy started out I think he was doing like music video production and stuff. And now he's moved during COVID, he started this junk removal business because every office in Manhattan was getting rid of junk and they needed people. And he made this huge business. But then as he met more people and was open to new things, he now is working with someone who, is in the pods business. And that guy opened his eyes to realizing that packing and moving is a big opportunity. And so I just think that his success is so attributable to he has listened to himself and kept the curiosity there.
I like that curiosity part.
It's all curiosity. I think that's the thing that makes people successful in life is remaining curious.
He came up to me at the end of the meeting when he was leaving and he said something to me and I didn't really get it. And he said, "Thank you so much for not being a gatekeeper."
Oh.
And I was on my ride home, like trying to think about it. And it was just like, we opened a lot up to him but he opened a lot up to us. And that lends to curiosity, right? It's like, I guess some people are curious, but other people are like, no, I'm not gonna tell you anything. I'm not gonna give you anything. And he was so appreciative of that. But I think that's why we like our networking, is because and that's why we like it to be intimate, because they're willing to go deeper on things, and it's so much fun, man. So,
and I think they crave that,
Let's wrap it up today, man. This is fun conversation. We'll keep it going. Thanks everyone who's listening. Appreciate it. You can watch this if you're listening to this on one platform, like Apple Podcasts. You're probably just listening to it, but you can watch this and you can watch it on YouTube. So check us out on those platforms. We appreciate it. If you do listen to this, please subscribe. You get notifications. It helps us go out more to the world. Tell a friend about it. We don't do any advertising. We don't have any sponsors. We don't even want to make any money off of this, but we do want to get to more and more people. We have a ton of fun doing this, and we do run a business. So visit atomicbusinesscoaching.com. Check us out there, and let us know what you think of the show. Let us know what you think of me and Tom, and we appreciate you very much. Have a great day.